They won't warn you when it begins. There will be no sirens, no headlines big enough, no countdown clock on your screen. It will feel quiet at first, subtle, almost boring. And that's exactly how every real wealth transfer starts. While people are distracted, while markets look normal, a silver storm is forming beneath the surface, and before February, it will hit harder than most are prepared for. Most people think opportunity arrives loudly. It doesn't. It whispers. And silver has been whispering for a long time. I remember sitting across from an older investor years ago, a man who had lived through multiple crises, wars, crashes, currency failures. I asked him what the biggest mistake people make when it comes to money. He smiled and said, they wait for permission. Permission from the news, permission from the crowd, permission from comfort. Then he tapped the table and said, by the time everyone agrees, it's already too late. That lesson changed how I saw silver, not as a trade, not as a gamble, but as a mindset, a decision to think ahead while others think later. Because silver isn't just metal, it's discipline, it's patience, it's the quiet confidence of someone who doesn't need applause to be right. Right now, silver is being pulled in every direction at once. Industrial demand is rising, supply is tightening, paper promises are multiplying faster than physical reality. And history tells us something very simple. When too many claims chase too little truth, the truth eventually snaps back. Here's the part most people miss. The storm doesn't destroy everyone, it only destroys those standing in the wrong place. Think about the entrepreneur who built a manufacturing business in the early 2000s. When currencies weakened and costs surged, his competitors panicked. He didn't. Years earlier, he had quietly accumulated physical silver as a hedge. Not because it was exciting, but because it was boring and reliable. When the storm hit, his balance sheet didn't break. It bent and recovered. That decision didn't just save his company. It gave him leverage to expand while others were forced to sell. Silver teaches you to play the long game, to delay gratification, to build wealth the same way you build character, slowly, intentionally, without shortcuts. Every ounce you stack is a vote for discipline over impulse, for ownership over promises, for reality over illusion. Ask yourself this: when uncertainty rises, do you want assets that depend on trust or assets that depend on physics? And if you think it's too late, remember this: most people only look at price. Smart investors look at pressure. Pressure in supply chains, pressure in debt, pressure in systems stretched beyond logic. Pressure doesn't disappear. It releases. Another investor I once met was a school teacher. Not rich, not flashy, just consistent. Every month, no matter the noise, he bought a small amount of silver. He ignored hype. He ignored fear. Years later, when inflation ate into savings and pensions struggled to keep up, he wasn't panicking. He wasn't scrambling. He had options. Freedom doesn't always look like luxury. Sometimes it looks like peace of mind. And peace of mind is priceless. Here's where mindset matters. Silver rewards those who can stand still while others run, who can think in years while others think in days. The storm before February won't ask if you're ready. It will simply reveal who is. So what do smart investors do now? They simplify. They focus on physical ownership, not paper noise. They buy consistently, not emotionally. They treat silver as insurance first, opportunity second. They respect risk, but they don't fear it. They understand that not taking calculated risk is the biggest risk of all. And here's a micro truth that changes everything. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be early enough. As the storm builds, the crowd will chase explanations. Smart investors will already be positioned. While others ask what happened, you'll know why it happened. But this isn't about predicting collapse. It's about preparing for change. It's about building a foundation that doesn't crack when systems shake. It's about choosing assets that have survived every cycle because they answer a basic human need, real value. And when you look back, you'll realize the decision wasn't dramatic. It was quiet, simple, almost boring. But it changed everything. If this message resonated with you, if you believe in building wealth with wisdom instead of noise, take a moment to like this video. Subscribe if you want calm, strategic insights that cut through the chaos. Share this with someone who's still waiting for permission because the silver storm doesn't wait, and only those who think ahead will stand strong when it arrives. Silver has never been about drama. It has always been about timing and truth. While headlines chase attention, silver waits. While crowds react, silver positions. And the people who benefit are rarely the loudest ones in the room. I remember hearing an investor once say that real wealth is built during moments when nothing feels urgent, when fear hasn't arrived yet, when greed hasn't taken over yet, when everyone believes there's still plenty of time. That's the window silver operates in. It rewards those who act before certainty appears, because certainty always arrives late. Silver is different from most investments because it lives in two worlds at once. It is money and it is necessity. It sits inside solar panels, medical equipment, electronics, infrastructure, while also standing outside the financial system as real, tangible value. That dual nature is powerful. When economies slow, demand doesn't disappear. When currencies weaken, silver doesn't forget what it is. Think about the small business owner who watched costs rise year after year while savings quietly lost purchasing power. Instead of chasing trends, he slowly converted a portion of his excess cash into physical silver. No leverage, no panic, just consistency. When inflation accelerated, he wasn't scrambling to catch up. He had already stepped out of the burning building before the fire became visible. Right now, paper claims on silver continue to multiply, while physical supply remains constrained. History shows that this imbalance never resolves gently. It resolves suddenly. And when it does, price is only one part of the story. The real shift is psychological. Those who own real assets feel grounded. Those who don't feel exposed. There's a reason experienced investors quietly accumulate when enthusiasm is low. They understand that boredom is often the price of future freedom. Silver doesn't excite crowds because it doesn't promise instant gratification. It promises endurance. Another story comes to mind of a couple who lived modestly, saved carefully, and ignored ridicule when they chose hard assets over flashy investments. When financial stress hit their community, people around them were forced into bad decisions under pressure. They weren't. They had options. And options are what wealth is really about. The silver storm before February isn't about fear. It's about clarity, about recognizing that systems built on debt, leverage, and trust eventually test that trust. And when they do, tangible value matters again. Smart investors don't go all in. They don't bet their future on one idea. They build layers. Silver becomes one of those layers, a foundation piece, something that doesn't depend on someone else's promise to exist. Buying silver isn't about timing the top or bottom. It's about forming habits, regular accumulation, secure storage, long-term thinking, treating it less like a lottery ticket and more like a shield. And as the pressure continues to build quietly, the most important shift happens internally. You stop needing constant reassurance. You stop reacting to every headline. You start moving with calm intention while others swing between hope and panic. The calm is not accidental. It's built ounce by ounce, decision by decision, long before the storm becomes visible, long before the crowd realizes that what looked stable was only balanced on borrowed time, long before the realization sets. In that survival in financial markets has never been about speed, but about standing in the right place when the wind changes direction and the noise fades and reality asserts itself in ways that feel sudden only to those who weren't watching closely enough to see it forming all along. Most people believe danger announces itself. It doesn't. It builds quietly beneath routine, beneath comfort, beneath the belief that tomorrow will look like yesterday. Silver moves in those quiet spaces. Long before urgency appears, pressure begins to form, and those who understand this don't wait for confirmation from headlines or crowds. Silver has always rewarded patience over prediction. It exists outside emotion, outside promises, outside the noise of daily markets. While paper assets depend on confidence, silver depends on reality. It is mined, refined, held, and used. That alone gives it a different kind of strength, especially when systems stretched by debt and leverage begin to feel fragile. There's a reason experienced investors accumulate when interest is low. They know that value is often ignored before it is chased. A small business owner once shared how he converted uncertainty into stability by consistently holding physical silver, not as a speculation, but as a reserve. When costs rose and margins tightened, that decision became a source of control instead of stress. Silver also shapes mindset. It slows you down. It teaches you to think in cycles instead of moments. In a world obsessed with speed, that patience becomes an advantage. You stop reacting and start positioning. You stop chasing reassurance and start building resilience. Right now, claims on silver far exceed the physical supply that backs them. History shows that imbalances like this resolve suddenly, not gradually. When confidence cracks, tangible assets matter again, not because of hype, but because they don't disappear when trust fades. Smart investors don't seek excitement, they seek durability. Silver becomes part of a layered strategy, something held quietly while others debate opinions and narratives. It isn't about guessing dates or prices. It's about forming habits that protect purchasing power and preserve options. As pressure builds beneath the surface, the real shift happens internally. Calm replaces urgency. Preparation replaces fear. And while the world searches for answers after the storm becomes obvious, those who positioned early remain steady, already standing where stability lives, already insulated from the sudden realization that survival in markets has always belonged to those who prepared before they were told to worry. The silver storm is coming, but it doesn't announce itself. It forms quietly under the surface while most people chase headlines and noise. The real opportunity is always hidden in the calm, in the moments when everyone else believes nothing is happening. Silver has always been a metal of patience, of quiet preparation, of real value that exists regardless of confidence or promises. I once met an investor who described wealth as the ability to act before the world demands it. He didn't rely on predictions or luck. He relied on steady accumulation, on consistent choices, on positioning himself ahead of pressure. That's what silver teaches: discipline, foresight, and resilience. Right now, physical silver is constrained while paper claims multiply. Those who understand this aren't chasing the price, they're preparing for the inevitable imbalance that history shows always resolves sharply. Small, consistent purchases, careful storage, and patience build real options. Silver also shapes mindset. It slows impulsive thinking and rewards long-term vision. While others panic or wait for certainty, smart investors are quietly positioned. They understand that survival isn't about timing headlines. It's about being ready before the storm arrives. The world reacts when change becomes visible. Smart investors act when change is forming. Options, control, and calm are built ounce by ounce before the pressure breaks through.